Alright guys, welcome back to a continuation of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Quick recap of last time if you haven't watched the stream archive. Sorry I didn't edit those videos, I just personally don't have time right now. Basically, we are in big trouble because we're getting blamed for a murder that we have not committed, and we are having to defend ourselves. Even though we have absolutely no training in being a lawyer, because if we don't, our friend is not going to be able to get to go travel abroad and study in Great Britain. Also, this is a big government conspiracy. The government's trying to blame us, even though they know we didn't do it, because they want to maintain their good relationship with Britain. Alright, so, with Great Britain. So, if you did watch the video, sorry for that recap, let's get into it. Excellent work, Rinosuke. That was superb. My heart was in my mouth the entire time. It was almost unbelievable. I mean, looking at you in there. You were drenched in sweat. Your eyes popping, your knees knocking, and you were grinding your teeth. It was a grim sight, but before I knew it, you'd started finding inconsistencies in the testimonies. Wow, it's almost like I have some basic logic. I think you might have a natural talent for being a lawyer. Forget it. It's terrifying. If I get through this, I don't ever want to see the inside of a courtroom again. Ha 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 ha. I mean, I think that's a pretty normal reaction after this whole thing. Anyways, it looks like we've exposed your Phantom Lady at last. Miss Giselle Brett, a student from Great Britain. Is she? That's what I was trying to tell everyone from the start. Dr. Wilson wasn't alone. There was a young woman with him, like I've been saying all along. Yes, you have, haven't you? I might not be overly confident in the courtroom, but my powers of observation are one thing I am sure of. Yes, I can see that. So, about this young, gentle woman. Thanks to our detective friend, she was hastily escorted away from the scene, it seems. Did you see what happened with that? No, I didn't see any of it. I was just on my way out of the restaurant myself, then on the floor next to Dr. Wilson's table. I noticed there was a gun laying on the floor, and just after I bent down and picked it up, bang! I didn't have time to think about where the sound of the gunshot had come from. The waiter ran over to me looking as white as a sheet, and he bundled me into some sort of small pantry next to the kitchen. Fast thinking by the detective, he apprehended his suspect without a moment's delay. Yes, and because I was shut in the pantry, I have no idea what happened outside in the dining area. Ah, there you are. Well done, both of you. Professor Mikatoba. Well, it seems I was right. The pair of you make an outstanding team. You've exceeded my expectations, I have to say. Yes, it seems you planned this from the start. You arranged things so that I wouldn't be able to act as a lawyer in this trial. Our modern country is still in its infancy. Our justice system even more so, which is why I firmly believe that we need to send our brightest young stars overseas to learn all they can. I wanted to avoid a situation that may have resulted in your study tour to Great Britain being cancelled. Well, it makes no difference. Lawyer or otherwise, if I'm the kind of man who can't help his best friend over at the worst crisis of his life, I shouldn't waste everyone's time by going to study overseas anyways. What? What are you saying, Kazuma? So that's your stance. I was afraid you'd feel that way. Kazuma. Well then, it looks like it all comes down to you, young man. To me? Yes, you need to prove your innocence and uncover what really took place in that restaurant. I must say I very much want to know the truth. After all, I have a personal connection to this case. Come to think of it, he said the same thing earlier this morning, didn't he? Well, he's a doctor and a professor. He probably knew the guy that got killed. Whatever his name was. I already forgot. Dr. Wilson? If you don't mind me asking, Professor, did you know the victim? Here it is. Yes, I did. As you're probably aware, Dr. John H. Wilson was a visiting professor at UMA, and it was I who invited him. Oh, I see. I'm just going to say it now. I have a slight suspicion that this man is more than just an invitee of this man. I didn't know that before. Anyway, you're about to go into battle. The victim was a university professor from Great Britain, and a well-known one at that. Naturally, our government is looking to identify and punish the culprit as quickly as possible. But let's not forget who we're going up against. The gentlewoman whose involvement our police bureau went to the extraordinary lengths to hide. Yes, and I'm sure the prosecution will be using every tool at their disposal to quash your case. But I've no doubt that you pair will put up a good fight, right to the last. Best of luck. Thank you. Now then. I need you to run an errand at the university at once. There's something I think we may need. Of course. Good luck, Kazuma-sama. Ooh, she got a crush. She's cute. Defendant Naruhodo! Court recess is over. Please make your way back inside the courtroom at once. It's time. Let's get back to it, partner. Let's go in there and deal a decisive blow. Before those old fossils know what hit them. Kazuma, you're not gonna kill anybody in there, are you? What? Thank you. Really? What for? Well, if you hadn't said you believed in me, then I'm fairly sure I'd already have been found guilty by now. Look, I have faith in you. As a lawyer, and as a friend. Coming from you, that means a lot. If I'm found guilty in this trial, he's really going to give up on his dream of studying abroad. That's the kind of true friend he is. So this isn't just my battle anymore. Whoever we're up against, we absolutely cannot afford to lose. Alright then. I'll save the thank yous for after the trial. You can treat me to one of those sukiyaki meals I like from Yume Cafeteria on University Street. With an extra large portion, of course. I mean, I'm doing like 75% of the work. The court hereby resumes the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Prosecutor Ayuchi, have you managed to subpoena the witness? Yes, Your Excellency, against all odds. And thanks to a certain young stripling, the prosecution is now under rather painful scrutiny from the government. Ugh. Sorry. Let the government scrutinize. That's their job. It's nothing to worry about. It's highly unlikely the good relations we forge with Great Britain will emerge from this trial unscathed. Will you still think it's nothing to worry about when the new treaty breaks down and our nation founders? Again, terribly sorry. If the friendship between our nations is really so fragile, then the treaty isn't worth the paper it's written on. You really have nothing to worry about, Ryunosuke. What do you mean? A secret trial, anxiety over some foreign government's opinions, a bungled investigation, missing witnesses. Is this what our nation's justice system is? Is this the Supreme Court of Japan or of England? Shut up! Shut up, you jumped-up rookie boy! You and your friend know nothing. Nothing of the situation our nation finds itself in. By aligning ourselves with the great world power, we'll become strong. Diplomacy has never been more critical. Steady political maneuvering is what will secure our futures. I won't deny that I'm no expert. I'm just a student, and one who could arguably study harder too. But standing here now in our Supreme Court, there's one thing I feel very strongly. A country that fails to uphold the truth in its justice system is a country with no future at all. Well said, Ryunosuke, despite the wide-eyed look of terror. I think I would be terrified to say this shit in a court of law as well. Especially when, like, they're actively trying to put me away when I didn't do anything. Thank you, counsel. This court is the pinnacle of our nation's justice system and exists solely for the pursuance of truth. With that in mind, this trial will now resume with the next witness taking the stand. The visiting student from Great Britain, Miss Giselle Brett. Yes. Your Excellency! Oh, I love her hat! Well, what a delight it is to welcome such a fine gentlewoman to Japan, and from such a distant land. Tea! Someone bring English tea in England! No discussions take place without tea! Is that true? No idea. So, could we possibly trouble you to state your name and occupation for the court? Of course. My name is Satoru Hosonaga. I have been working undercover as the head waiter at Le Carnival, but my true— Yes, we know all about you already. Inspector Hosonaga, where are your manners? In England, it's always ladies first. Is that true? No idea. More importantly, a little earlier today you said something to me. You said your powers of observation are the one thing you're sure of. Oh, yes, I think I did, didn't I? Yet your description for this amazing sight was simply a woman. Sorry, Yunosuke, but powers of observation aside, your powers of description are sorely lacking. Guilty. So, dear lady, once again, if we may trouble you for your name and occupation, please. Oh my god. Excuse me? What? What is going on here? Is it because she's speaking English and they can't understand her? I bet that's it. I'm terribly sorry, dear lady, but— What? Oh, I bet he's speaking English to her too. The lady says her name is Giselle Brett. She comes from London, England. She's a visiting research student currently enrolled in Yume University's medical faculty. Oh my, what a rare treat to hear the dulcet tones of the delightful language of the British people. Yeah, so she is speaking English. I'm afraid I don't understand a word you said, but it was as beautiful as a hummingbird's song. As far as I can tell. The detective is translating her words faithfully enough. Yes, I agree. You'll obviously do fine in England, Kazuma. Her English doesn't rattle you at all, does it? Nor you. You've clearly been paying attention in your English classes, Ryunosuke. I couldn't read what she said! The court thanks the beautiful lady for taking the stand. Now, if we may trouble you to confirm something, Miss Brett. 3 days ago at a restaurant called Le Carnival, a grim murder took place. The court has been led to believe that you were dining there with the victim, Dr. Wilson, at the time. Is that correct? She says, yes. This could take some time. So even though she's studying here in Japan, she can't speak any Japanese. She'd like to apologize for disappearing from the scene. She says that she was due to make a presentation at the university, so she had to leave immediately. Interesting, when you're the one who engineered her escape. I was just following special orders from the Bureau. Well now, dear lady, would you be so kind as to cast your eyes over this photographic print? Seeing as you were so unfortunately present at the scene of the crime, could it be that your resplendent eye caught sight of the wicked perpetrator, perhaps? Apparently, it was a very frightening and sorrowful sight. Do you mean to say? Yes, it would appear the lady did witness the crime. The very moment when the accused, standing right there in this courtroom, shot the victim in cold blood. She did it. We all know she did it. Oh, look at her dress! I love it. Order! Order in the court. Did you hear that, Your Excellency? Here we have an absolutely conclusive witness statement. Well, it looks like it's clear now. Clear who our real enemy is. Unfortunately, I will have to ask you to formally testify, if you please. Kindly tell the court the exact nature of this frightening and sorrowful sight you described. Why does she have a mask on? I mean, is that... How is anybody here accepting this? A frightening and sorrowful sight. I had arranged to meet for a slightly late luncheon with Dr. Wilson that day. The professor was unable to eat, so I ordered for myself only a beefsteak. After a while, the accused came over to greet the professor, and they got in a fierce argument. Then, not long afterwards, the accused took the professor's gun and shot him right before my eyes. There was no argument! I want her dress. I don't carry a gun myself, so obviously I couldn't have been the culprit. I think it's obvious that there were two guns present.
Yes!
Oh, shit. I couldn't even read what I said. No, I don't have any kind of argument with the professor at all. Quiet, you filthy wretch. Look at you, you black-hearted blackguard. And look at this snow-white angel. I'm sure even a dark-minded scoundrel like you can imagine those whose words this court is going to believe. Ugh. You're still making the same mistakes, Ryunosuke. You mustn't blurt out when you're goaded like that. That's a lesson you need to learn. But he's so annoying. Of course, I was at the scene as well. I took statements from this lady and the two witnesses who testified before and reported back to the bureau. It was decided that Miss Brett was not involved, so I let her go. The testimonies of the last two witnesses were completely worthless, however. Well, even so. On the day in question, the lady was wearing the same outfit as she is today. As you can see, there is nowhere about her person where she could conceal a firearm. I would think she could hide a gun almost anywhere in that outfit if she wanted to. I agree. Unless, and until the precious location where the witness is to have hidden a weapon can be shown, this is moot. There are no pockets in my outfit. I have nowhere to hide a gun. Those are the witness's own words on the matter. Ugh, that's ridiculous. If only I was allowed to lift up her dress, I could prove it. No! Ryunosuke! Don't think about doing anything rash, Ryunosuke. But I didn't fire the gun I picked up. There must have been another gun there that day. You're right about that. Which means this lady was hiding a gun somewhere. Yes, that's what we have to prove now. And to do so, we will need to pull her testimony apart. Ooh, she smiled. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. Oh, yes, Your Excellency. I think that's something that I would enjoy to be called is Your Excellency. You know, I mean, I know I'm going to be called Doctor, but I think I would enjoy being called Your Excellency. Okay. I don't really have a problem with that. You ordered only a beefsteak. I don't necessarily have a problem with that, but... Chest. Examine. I mean, technically that's some wine. But clearly you also ordered wine.
Yes!
He was unable to eat, you say. And that was because he just had a tooth removed at the Hata clinic, correct? That's right. You're supposed to actually check with the witness before answering. Was Miss Brett aware of that fact? It seems so, yes. She'd heard that the professor was to have some dental treatment. So that would mean that it was you who ate the steak pictured here. Is that right, Miss Brett? That's right, yes. The print you have there shows the table exactly as it was left after the horrifying events. Exactly as it was left. Dear me, what a harrowing experience to have traveled to a distant island on the far side of the world and be embroiled in such a tragic incident. Have no fear, my dear lady. I swear I will crush the evil fiend that has subjected you to this terrible plight. So the victim, Dr. Wilson, had nothing to eat or drink at all. That's right, other than some carbonated water. Just water? Yes, the professor was unable to eat, but he had been given permission to drink water. So it appears that the diners toasted their lunch with a glass of water each. They each raised a glass of carbonated water. What do you think, Ryunosuke, about the witness's last statement? It's very meaningful because it means that that scene was not left the exact way it was because there's only one glass there. That last statement of yours, Miss Brett, has a profound bearing on this case. Well, well, how fascinating. Do tell us, what is this profound bearing? You know, you need to calm down. Because we have pointed out several very obvious things that you've been like, what? The significance of the statement will become apparent when the time is right. The defense calls for the witness's last statement to be formally added to the testimony. Well, sidestepped, counsel. Very well, Miss Brett. Kindly repeat what you just said to be added to the official testimony. Gladly, she said. That was brilliant, Kazuma. I'm going to remember that one. Which one? The significance will become apparent when the time is right. I could really use that phrase. I'd hope there are some more useful tips you're picking up from this experience than that, Ryunosuke. I feel like that was a really good one, though. Myself, Professor said cheers over a glass of carbonated water. Ha 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 ha.
Yes!
That's it! Let me just confirm something, please. It's to do with this photographic print. Just a short while ago, you spoke of this print showing the victim's table at the crime scene. That it was, quote, exactly as it was left, end quote. That is correct, the lady says. Well, that is, it's odd, very odd. Dear me, what's odd? What's odd is the defense's inability to express itself. Ugh. Ryunosuke, what is it about the print that looks odd to you? Well, obviously, it's the cheers. The cheers? Miss Brett just told us that she and the professor said cheers over a glass of water. But if that's true, there should be 2 glasses on the table, not 1. You're quite right, Counsel. There's only 1 glass pictured here. Are we supposed to be impressed by this nitpicking over minutia? What possible difference does the presence or absence of a glass make on the case? Minutia, you say? Could it be that the detective here removed a glass from the table to conceal the lady's presence? Of course not. I would never do something so reckless. But there should have been 2 glasses on the table. Or are you going to try to tell me you can clink with only 1? You're quite right. I certainly took 2 glasses to the table. Did she steal it? Inspector, what did the lady say? It would seem that it was Miss Brett who took the glass from the table. Of course. What? It was all so terrifying, everything that happened. I panicked and thought I should try to hide the fact that I'd been there at all, she's saying. Good gracious. Does she still fucking have the glass? Please, please produce the glass for us. Sorry! Ooh! There, as I assured the court before, this is of no consequence at all. Oh, please. We must remember that this student had just murdered this lady's luncheon companion before her very eyes. Who could blame her for concealing a glass or 2 in this state of disarray? The court of law can blame her. That's absurd. Oh, really? So do we take it that you are now going to accuse this vulnerable young woman of mischief? I'm accusing her of more than just that. No, this can't be put down to mischief. I'd like to know exactly how the lady took the glass from the scene. I think I want to cosplay her now. It would seem that she slipped it into a small handbag she was carrying. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We have a handbag now? Didn't we just say that there was no way we could have had a gun? Yes, Your Excellency, a small handheld pouch commonly carried by well-to-do women in England. So the beautiful lady has very graciously explained how and why she removed the glass from the scene now. However, the fact remains that this glass has absolutely no bearing on the case. I'm sorry, did you just take a glass of water full of water and put it in a bag? I doubt. This student has been trying to confuse the court with logical reasoning, but in the end it comes to nothing. No more pretentious accusations. You've wasted enough time already. Indeed, the lady has offered a satisfactory explanation as to why she removed this glass. I think henceforth we can consider the matter to have no bearing on the case. Counsel for the defense, are you in agreement? Well, I don't know, really. If you want to pursue this matter further, you're going to need to show that it has some deeper significance. Yes, you're right. So she took the glass away in her handbag. If there's a deeper significance there, it's the handbag. Wait, the lady put the glass in her handbag, you say? Yes, do try to keep up. It's already been explained to the court that all English gentlewomen carry handbags for small items. Let me see. A little while ago, Miss Brett stated the following. There are no pockets in my outfit. I have nowhere to hide a gun. But what she forgot to mention was her handbag, in which it would be perfectly possible to conceal a gun. You're right. Well done, partner. I had a feeling you'd pick up on that too. What are you insinuating, you vile blackguard? It's really very simple. The gunshot was heard when the defendant picked up the gun from the restaurant floor. As he didn't fire that gun, we can deduce there must have been another firearm at the scene. The true murder weapon, if you will. You can't seriously be suggesting. Inspector Hasanaga. Yes. Did you or did you not search Miss Giselle Brett's handbag on the day of the murder? No, sir, I did not. As I thought. In other words, another gun, the one that was actually used to kill the professor, could have been hidden in Miss Brett's handbag. No! Order! 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 What is the meaning of this, Inspector? The meaning of what, Prosecutor Ayuchi? Why on earth did you not have the lady open her handbag and show you the contents at the time? Thanks to your bungling incompetence, now she has to endure these uncomfortable accusations. Brilliant work, partner. Now we have a chance to expose a real woman behind the mask. Do you think so, Kazuma? Oh my god. He's gonna give us all tuberculosis. Well, what a sorry situation. Clearly you have no faith in the police. As I said, I did not search the lady's handbag after the shooting, simply because it was unnecessary. Unnecessary in what way? I ought to thank the student lawyer, really. I have a piece of evidence here that I had completely forgotten about. Does he have the bag? This photographic print. Oh, you can see through her bag! No! This print is of a photograph that I thought would be prudent to take immediately after the shooting. As you can see, it clearly shows Miss Brett's handbag. Well, I never. You can see right through to what's inside. That's right. Apparently, meshwork bags like these are the height of fashion in London at the moment. So the contents are clearly visible. Exactly. So there was no need to search the lady's handbag. If there had been a gun inside, it would have been immediately obvious. It's in her hat. Come on. I mean, look at that hat. As you can see, there's nothing to imply Miss Brett's guilt here. What if the gun is the hat? Or the hat is the gun. I would love that. Thank you for helping to prove that, Naruhodo-san. Ugh. Wah. Okay, but I really am in love with her outfit. Like, it's obscene. Order! Order! Inspector Hasanaga, you will submit that print as evidence at once. Certainly, Your Excellency. The photograph has been added. Alright, we're gonna check that out in a minute. I think you've had long enough to cross-examine the witness, counsel. No. The court has now been shown considerable evidence. As the photographic print just submitted into the court record appears to have no further significance, I am satisfied that there is no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling. Indeed, and there is only one logical conclusion, that the pathetic rookie slumped over the bench before us is the only possible perpetrator of this crime. No, just when I thought I was beginning to turn things around, I'm in a worse situation than I was at the start. I'm sorry, Ryunosuke. Now that the cross-examination of the witness is over, there's no way to force the trial to continue. What? You mean this is it? I must say you put up quite a fight for a rookie student. But the weak are meat, while the strong eat. You are wasting your time. There is no way to defeat true justice. A fact you can chew on to your heart's content from the inside of your cell. This can't be happening. Am I really going to be found guilty of a crime that I didn't commit? And Kazuma. His dream of going to study in Great Britain will slip through his fingers. Kazuma. What? Is there really no chance now of turning this trial around? You heard the judge. There's nothing about that last photograph the detective produced that we can contest. Which means there's no basis on which we can argue for the trial to continue. I don't know about that. Let's have a look at it. Why does he have a stake mark that matches? It's a little confusing to me. Yeah, go ahead. Look at his hand. It has a stake mark, right? And now, look here. The stake mark. What's up with that? Very well, I will now proceed immediately to the ruling. It seems we'll be able to report to the British government on time after all. That smug little... Ryunosuke Naruhodo, having considered all of the evidence placed before me, I hereby find you... Wait! Your Excellency! Ryunosuke! I don't think you can rule on this case yet! The amateurishness is getting tedious. When His Excellency deems that the trial is over, he gives his ruling. That is the most basic protocol of the courtroom.
Yes!
Your Excellency, just a moment ago you said this. As the photographic print just submitted appears to have no further significance, there is no longer any room for doubt in this matter, and I must make my ruling. Now that means that if there was a problem with the evidence, some significant detail I mean, then ruling on the case at this time would be out of the question. This is blatant straw clutching. Look at this photographic print. All it shows is a handbag the gentlewoman was carrying on the day in question. There can be no problem with this evidence. You'd better know what you're doing, Ryunosuke. I understand your objection, counsel. Certainly, the new evidence submitted by the detective has not undergone the court's scrutiny. However, I fail to see how we can glean any new information from this handbag. Ha, my thoughts exactly. Really, the prosecution is becoming tired of this rookie's desperate wheezes. Yes, I am desperate, but this isn't a wheeze. There's something about this photograph which just doesn't seem right. If only I could put my finger on it. Very well, I will grant the defense one final opportunity. What? But be warned that if I am unsatisfied by your response here, the trial will be over with immediate effect. Oh, fuck. You know what that means? That means we gonna save. That's what that means. Do I make myself clear? Yes, Your Excellency. So, take another look at this photographic print Inspector Hasanaga submitted before. You will identify for the court where in this print we see the, quote, significant detail, end quote, to which you have alluded.
Yes!
Look at this, here. There's a very unusual mark on the victim's wrist. That is true. It looks almost like a burn of some description.
Objection!
Dear me, I was pondering what new piffle you would come up with. A burn, you say, on the victim's wrist? Clearly, this has nothing whatsoever to do with the magnificent lady's handbag. Yes, that is a burn mark, you're right. Go on, Inspector. The police coroner also noted it when he was performing the post-mortem exam. It was deemed unrelated to the cause of death, so he didn't note it in his report. What did I tell you? In any case, we have no idea when the victim suffered this burn, do we? And no possible way of knowing either. The more I look at it, the more I find myself intrigued by the curious shape of this mark. However, as Prosecutor Ayuchi points out, unless a firm connection to the case can be shown, I cannot allow any further time to be spent on the precise details of this burn. Excuse me, Your Excellency. It would seem Miss Brett has a lunch appointment with the dean and other university staff. She would like to know if she may be excused from the stand now. Oh, of course, dear lady. We shan't hold you up any longer. I'm quite sure His Excellency is about to give his final ruling anyway. What's your thinking on this, Ryunosuke? Do you believe this burn does have something to do with the case? To be honest, I'm not really sure. But if I don't keep pushing, then it's all over. So I was thinking I should keep digging and digging in the hope that I might uncover something useful. Yes, you're right. I am? If we can just link that burn to the case. If we can do that, we might be able to prise this shutting door back open again. Just give up, counsel. You can't possibly hope to do that. Indeed, I'm afraid that without evidence, I can't allow you to pursue what is little more than conjecture. But if we had evidence that irrefutably linked the burn on the victim's wrist to the case, then you would allow it? I would, yes. To tell the truth, I hadn't noticed that burn. But as soon as you pointed it out, what I did notice was the color draining from Miss Brett's face. Really, I have to find some link between the burn and the case. This is the moment of truth. It's time to find some evidence that proves what that burn really means. So then, the defense will now present its evidence to the court. The evidence that demonstrates an inextricable connection between the victim's burn and this trial. Let's just make sure that, yep, okay, perfect.
Yes!
What's this, counsel? Yet another print? Yes, Your Excellency. I believe photographic prints are an amazing invention. When we humans look at a scene, we miss things. But in a photograph, the things we may have overlooked at the time are recorded forevermore. Do hurry up, rookie. What are you trying to say? To inconvenience this poor lady any further would really be inexcusable. Actually, we may need you to stay with us a little longer if you don't mind, Miss Brett. You see, it's very clearly visible in this other photograph. How did the victim come to have that unusually shaped burn on his wrist? The reason is recorded here forevermore. What? How?
Objection!
Ooh. I didn't even get to read that.
Yes!
The beefsteak? Actually, the point is the metal plate the steak was served on. The plate? Ah! Ah! Your Excellency, are you alright? As you can see, there's an emblem on the plate. I would guess it's some sort of trademark of Le Carnival. Ah! This emblem on the plate. And the victim's burn are exactly the same shape. Ryunosuke, you genius! You're spot on. Which means the victim must have suffered this burn while he was present at the restaurant.
Objection!
But even if that is the case, we can't know it happened on the day in question or not. It could have been the day before or the day before that. It's most likely happened at some other unrelated time. Well,
Objection!
Sadly, Prosecutor Ayuchi, the chances of that are extremely slim. Thanks. Why? The outline of the burn is clearly discernible. Such a serious injury would have caused quite a commotion in the restaurant. Wouldn't you agree, Inspector Hasanaga? I can't imagine having missed such a terrible disaster, certainly. But... I would say, looking at the picture of the wound, that it wasn't suffered very long ago. And although it's not a particularly large burn, it's extremely well defined. This was no mild burn, that's for sure. Can you be more specific, Inspector? Well, let's see. If the plate was around 90-degree edge if the plate was at around 90 degrees centigrade, a burn like that would have taken around 3 seconds. It's inconceivable that the victim wouldn't have let out a scream of pain then. I've been investigating at the restaurant for several weeks already, but I've not heard anyone scream at all. As the head waiter of Le Carnival, I can testify to that without hesitation. But you're a detective, not a waiter!
Yes!
There you have it! Oh, did you see that? He got confident. It made a noise when he slammed down on the table. Something isn't right here. As the detective said, anyone who burnt themselves on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds would scream in pain. There's no question of that. And yet Inspector Hasanaga never heard the professor scream, not on that day or any before it. That's right. And the strange thing is, on the day he was shot, I didn't hear him cry out either. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting he got burned after he got shot. Well, if the professor had carelessly laid his wrist on the plate for anything like 3 seconds that day, that would be beyond careless, I think, Counsel. Then the rest of us in this restaurant, myself, the sergeant, and the old antiques dealer, all of us, without any question, have heard him scream. Wouldn't you agree, Prosecutor Ayuchi? Well, yes, I suppose. So the question is, why didn't a single person hear Dr. Wilson scream? He was dead before he was burned. You know what? I bet she poisoned him. She poisoned him, then, and that's why she took the glass, because the poison was in the glass. She poisoned him, and then searched through his pockets or something, so ended up moving him around, and he got burned during that time after he was dead. Then she shot him after she placed a gun on the floor, and then somebody else to pick it up, and then that's when she shot him. That's what happened. Can it really be true? I never dreamt we'd arrive at a conclusion like this, but I'm starting to think that maybe we've been led into a terrible trap. There's only one explanation I can think of to make sense of this apparent impossibility. On the day in question, when he suffered the burn to his wrist, Dr. Wilson was already deceased. No man could remain silent while his wrist was burning on a piping hot plate for 3 whole seconds. That's clearly impossible. Apart from in one particular situation. Counsel, are you suggesting? Yes, it's only possible if the man was already dead. Already dead? Knowing what we know now, it's the only possible explanation. When the beefsteak was brought to Dr. Wilson's table that day, the professor was already dead. That's madness! Order, please. Counsel, explain this absurd notion at once. The victim was killed by a gunshot. That's right. That's absolutely right, Your Excellency. This is just another ridiculous ploy by the rookie student, but clearly has no grasp of the facts. No, Prosecutor Iuchi, it's you who has no grasp of the facts. I beg your pardon. As soon as it became apparent that the victim had suffered that burn while at the restaurant, this whole case was turned upside down. Or have you not grasped that yet? Your Excellency, the court must hear from this witness again. If it's true as we now believe that the victim was already dead before the gunshot was heard. It's highly likely that Miss Brett knows something about it. Incredible. I certainly didn't anticipate this twist of events. I'm sorry to say, Miss Brett, that you will have to forget your luncheon engagement. But Your Excellency...